Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Nigerian Tribune. The major story here says, President Tinubu's era begins. President Tinubu's era begins. And some writers there focusing on his policy thrust. You find all the details on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. We move to the front page of the Daily Sun now, and in the same line of the story, talking about the new administration, Tinubu steps in, unveils agenda. Pledges to be president for all, vows to defend Nigeria from terror, criminality, review Naira redesign, policy, interest rate. US, UK, Saudi Arabia, others hold bilateral talks with President. All the details on the front page of the Daily Sun. And to the Punch newspaper now. Nigeria won't break up, says Tinubu, meets US, UK, Saudi Arabia envoys. Nigeria won't break up, says Tinubu, meets US, UK, Saudi Arabia envoys. President says Nigeria will continue to exist, promises not to be a dictator. Ipman opposes fuel subsidy removal, queues resurface in Abuja, Lagos, others. And Biden writes, President Tinubu says Nigeria's success is world's success. You find the details on the front page of the Punch newspaper. To the Nation newspaper now, my plans by Tinubu. The Nation newspaper, my plans by Tinubu, experts back president on subsidy exchange rate policies. Details on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And to the front page of this day newspaper, Tinubu, subsidy is gone, can no longer justify ever increasing costs. Subsidy is gone, can no longer justify ever-increasing costs. You find all the details on the front page of this day newspaper. And to the Daily Independent. Removed fuel subsidies, Tinubu to rechannel funds into education, healthcare, others, says CBN currency swap policy will be reviewed. Pledges increased power generation distribution, promises higher GDP growth rate, job creation. Okay.
And the Guardian is next, still on the various talking points from the president's inaugural speech. Guardian says scarcity trails subsidy removal as Tinubu begins house cleaning. That's the lead story on the Guardian. The Business Day reports that petrol queues resurface as Tinubu says subsidy gone. Business Day there. Let's check out first news. Tinubu Shetima sworn in acts fuel subsidy. Of course, the fuel subsidy subject is still very much loud on everyone's minds. This Nigeria is also speaking to that. This Nigeria says fuel subsidy regime gone for good. That's according to President Tinubu. Nigerian News Direct is next. Day one action. President Tinubu suspends fuel subsidy. Nigerians resort to panic buying. That's from reports. Fuel subsidy will unlock 7 trillion naira revenue, ease debt. That's from analysts. And policy will draw Nigeria backward. The NLC national president is also reacting, saying the policy will draw Nigeria backward. Leadership at inauguration, it says Tinubu hits ground running, lists critical reforms to focus on economy, power, agriculture, security. Leadership there. Daily Trust says fuel subsidy is gone. President Tinubu pledges Naira redesign review, higher growth rate, wants interest rates reduced. I'll work with you, U.S. President Biden assures Nigeria's President Tinubu. Still on the inauguration of the 16th president, Blueprint says NLC kicks as Tinubu phases out fuel subsidy. And that's the last paper I have here.
Right. All the papers are looking at the talking points from the inaugural speech of President Tinubu. And that will be our focus this morning. especially beginning with the removal of subsidies. There's been reactions, a mixed bag of reactions from across the country. Fuel stations, we've seen fuel queues resurface. Fuel stations, some have shut down their services, not selling fuel at all. And some experts are saying that this is a good decision, and it will save Nigeria 7 trillion naira, like you mentioned on the front page of one of the papers this morning. But the NLC is kicking, saying that it's taking Nigeria on a different path, so to speak. Recall that even before now, the NLC had said that there has to be some consultations with them before this decision is taken. And because the former president, right, Buhari, had gotten a loan from, I think, the World Bank to the tune of $800 million to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidies. But now it is here to stay. And the president is saying that he will be channeling those funds used for subsidies to healthcare, education, infrastructure development, basically.
And NNPC has also gone on to react almost immediately, saying that they have enough petrol supply, across the country. But this is a terrain that is very familiar to many Nigerians, even though I may allow that I was a bit surprised at, the response from the marketers, looking at, okay, he announced it, but then it's not new. None of the major presidential candidates, all of them, at least the major presidential candidates, all were on all fours with the issue of fuel subsidies, saying that the time had come. It was indeed not sustainable. The humongous debt profile of Nigeria is one of the pointers to that fact. And of course, it's healthy to allow divergent views on whether it should stay or not. But the president has said this is the line he's towing. And what I see from the response on the streets now is, of course, panic buying. The marketers are hoarding, and one would expect a decisive response from the government. Everybody says that they can respond, then the government should also be ready, for it. If arrests need to be made, if groups need to go around, mobilizing, checking out petrol stations and all that. Consultation. NLC had said days before now that they would like to engage with the president. You mentioned that. And so now for them to now talk about, the negative implications to the fuel subsidy removal, well, we hope to get some healthy conversations, consultations, at this time around the subject. And what you said about the president also applying or have gotten a loan, it's presently before
the former president.
The former president is presently before the federal lawmakers. So we wait to see how that will pan out. But if you look at it again differently, the former president had also announced, and President Tinubu said so in his speech, appreciating the former president for, phasing out the fuel subsidy regime, even though analysts have said there seemed to be an about turn on the part of the former Minister of Finance, Ahmed, who said, okay, the Council of States had said, let's suspend the fuel subsidy removal for now, because the initial window was to end by June, the mid-year. But now we hear that the Council of States has said, since a new government is coming on board, let's rest the subject for now, the decision to remove, let's rest it for now and let the incoming president come and, make his own inputs on the matter. So I want to believe that, yes, there's room for cushioning of cushioning of the effects that Nigerians may incur. There is a new refinery also on ground, even though work hasn't, started, so to speak. I'm hearing that it might be August that, that work will start in earnest. So let's just, be patient. And Nigerians should also, understand that they are doing these things to themselves. It really doesn't all go well for you to now start allowing panic to set in at a time like this.
Well, I am not surprised that this decision has been made. The president, President Tinubu, had said that he was going to make tough decisions. And obviously, this is what it is. He has hit the ground running with the decision he has made. And recall that he got the handover notes from the former president just days leading up to the inaugurations. So he must have looked through the handover notes and have understood that this is the direction the country is going, like he also promised or noted in his renewed hope document. Like you pointed out, it is important that we begin to look at how we look out for ourselves. We're having this conversation earlier on before we came on set, and the matter of the effect of this removal of subsidy, the announcement. We'll see prices of goods, rising. If you go to the markets, the price you got things yesterday might not be the same because they will be referring to the removal of the subsidy. Now people cannot even buy fuels. This morning, it was long queues. We could see long queues on the roads. And the response of government will also go a long way to addressing how this matter will be cushioned for Nigerians. Are we regulating the price? And what is the government looking at? Really, Nigerians need those details so that they know how they can move forward from as it is with regards to the matter of fuel subsidies. The government had said that these monies that we'll get, we are going to channel it to education, which is a matter that we have been talking about, how there is the need to revamp the educational sector and look at infrastructure with regards to education as well. And then we look at healthcare, which is also a major challenge. Out-of-pocket treatment, we know, is not something that is quite friendly in this part of the world. So if we are channeling those monies to these areas to cushion the effect on people's salaries such that they can easily afford these things, then the matter of fuel subsidy may not be a huge challenge as it is. If we can get this done and that cushions the effect for people, then they can address other matters. If we have our educational system in place, healthcare in place, which are key areas, I believe that we'll be on the right path.
And the argument has been made that the fuel subsidy regime was fraught with a lot of irregularities, a lot of corruption, fleecing of the Nigerian Commonwealth, so to speak. The rich having their day, dipping their hands in and out of it. And so
to the advantage of the rich.
He said a lot of things in that inaugural speech, talking about the Naira redesign and so many other ideals that he wants to have realized in the country.
Yes, so many things he said, and but the one that has affected a lot of persons or is affecting a lot of persons and we're getting reaction is a matter of fuel subsidy. But we need to quickly take this